the lowest illegal border crossings in 40 years.
The federal government has said, we're not helping, so Texas said, all right, enough is enough. Governor Abbott, keep up the great work.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott is vowing to expand his border security push, and more than a dozen Republican governors joined him at the site of what's really become the epicenter of the ongoing battle between Texas and the Biden administration.
More than half of the governors are now joined together in support of a very important proposition, and that is we are guaranteed by the United States Constitution the right of self-defense if states face imminent harm or invasion. Texas obviously is facing both an imminent harm as well as an invasion. And so these governors are rallying around Texas to support our ongoing right to self-defense and the deployment of this razor wire that has led to a massive reduction in inflow. The area where we have occupied this park in Eagle Pass, Texas, that we put up the razor wire, there used to be 3,000 or 4,000 people crossing that area a day. For the past 3 days, we've averaged just 3 people crossing that area. The point is, if we put up resistance, we show that we can secure the border. Joe Biden should not be stopping that.
Over 13 state governors actually joined Governor Greg Abbott here in Eagle Pass to not only support him, but to also pledge support to send additional state troopers from their states to the border to assist Texas officials. And we did also speak with Governor of Idaho, Brad Little, who says he'll be deploying state troopers. We also spoke with Nebraska Governor Jim Pellett, who says his state will also be sending state troopers as well.
And these were not just governors from states around Texas, but states including Montana and New Hampshire and Georgia. And they made the case that this is more than a Texas issue because of concerns about who may be coming into the country, where they're going, and what they're bringing with them. And they strongly criticized the Biden administration for not doing, they said, what Texas has done this winter.
Governor Greg Abbott says that President Biden already has the authority to shut down the border, but just chosen not to do so. He also says that as of right now, there are no plans for Texas officials to give back control of Shelby Park to federal officials. Once again, just creating that tension between the White House and the state of Texas.
Biden says he needs Congress to give him the power to do whatever he needs to do to secure the border. The fact is, as we all saw from what President Trump did, the President of the United States has the power. I must emphasize this. There is an obligation, there are laws in the United States that require the President to deny illegal entry of any illegal immigrant. And then if they do get into the United States, he has a legal obligation to detain those illegal immigrants. Joe Biden is failing at both of those duties. And that's exactly what gives Texas the authority to make sure that we can step up and secure our own border and protect our own state through self-defense. I wanted to be here and thank the soldiers and troopers and other personnel. As far as I know, it's the first time in American history that a state has led the effort to prevent people from entering the United States illegally. We are here to send a loud and clear message that we are banding together to fight to ensure that we will be able to maintain our constitutional guarantee that states will be able to defend against any type of imminent danger or an invasion.
A total of 14 governors, each from different states, as well as other state agencies and officials, stand alongside Governor Abbott in Eagle Pass to shed light on the crisis at the border.
Half of the governors of the United States have joined with Texas in our cause to make sure states can do everything possible to secure our border. Half of the governors that have joined the cause to support Texas are joining us at this event today.
The federal government has failed Texans and Americans in providing that security and that safety. That's why these governors are here together today to do our job.
Because Joe Biden has completely abdicated and abandoned his responsibility to enforce the laws of the United States. I have used a clause in the Constitution that empowers states to defend themselves. It's Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3.
But the White House argues it is trying to stop the influx of migrants at the border, with President Biden vowing to shut the border down if Congress can reach a deal to authorize it.
Have you done everything you can do with executive authority, or is there more you could do absent
That's not all I can do. Just give me the power. I've asked for the very day I got in office. Give me the border patrol. Give me the people. Give me the people, the judges. Give me the people who can stop this and make it work.
He talks about having no power, yet he magically had the power to terminate remain in Mexico, reinstate catch and release, end Title 42, shut down border wall construction. The list goes on and on. Shoot, almost 8 dozen executive actions during his first 100 days in office.
The Texas National Guard, the Texas Department of Public Safety, building the barriers that were needed to prevent people from entering, and then having the personnel behind those barriers to ensure that no one would enter. I wanted to be here and thank the soldiers and troopers and other personnel. Texas was able to secure the border and prevent people from entering illegally only because of their unprecedented effort in a challenging terrain and sweltering conditions, and they were up to the task. And similarly, their fellow soldiers up and down the entire border from here all the way to El Paso are working in the same way. And I have the same gratitude for all National Guard from here to El Paso and DPS troopers from here to El Paso for working around the clock to make sure that we build the barriers that are needed and we deploy the personnel that are needed to make sure that we secure the border. Now, never forget this. It was just 3 years ago in these exact same areas where we had the lowest number of illegal border crossings in about 40 years. And the reason it was that way is because we had an administration that imposed the Title 42 policy, the Remain in Mexico policy, the ending of catch and release, and the building of a border wall. When Joe Biden came in, he eliminated all of those measures, and that led to the unprecedented illegal border crossings. Texas has had to respond to the Biden administration's refusal to enforce the immigration laws. We've deployed more National Guard, thousands of National Guard.
A bipartisan group of senators raced to unveil a landmark border security bill supported by the president, though it faces opposition by Republicans in the House.
You have to at least get caught trying. Let's get going on this. Let's not cede the argument to just the loudest voices in the room who want to do and pursue extreme policies.
But Governor Abbott says the president can and should act now.
Joe Biden does not need more legislative authority. He just needs a backbone to step up and do his job and secure the border.
And if you look at the potential border deal that they're talking about, where they're going to do some type of reform, first of all, Biden doesn't need legislation to do what he's going to do.
He talks about having no power, yet he magically had the power to terminate remain in Mexico, reinstate catch and release, end Title 42, shut down border wall construction. The list goes on and on.
Second of all, they're saying, oh, you shut the border down only if you get more than 5,000 illegal aliens a day. Well, that's 1.8 million a year, 1.8 million a year that you're just saying is fine, that's an acceptable amount of illegal entries. To me, the only acceptable amount of illegal entries is 0. And that's what our policy should reflect.
Thank you to my fellow governors. Half of America now is standing against the Biden administration, also more than a majority of all the attorneys general across the country. Biden is not taking on Texas. Biden is taking on the United States of America.
Greg Abbott is once again challenging federal authorities on the border. He's saying Texas has a right to self-defense because he believes the federal government is not doing enough.
Most incumbents don't lose elections. They get fired, and they get fired because they're doing a bad job. As you talked about, the immigration system and the border issue is the primary issue in America right now.
The Supreme Court is siding with President Biden in a dispute with Texas over the border.
A Supreme Court ruling is giving the federal government more flexibility here at the southern border. The justices ruling Monday that Border Patrol can cut and remove about 30 miles of razor wire installed along the Rio Grande by the state of Texas, escalating a political battle between President Biden and Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
Texas National Guard soldiers putting up more razor wire in Eagle Pass to increase border security. security, despite the federal government allowing border agents to remove or cut that wire.
And now Joe Biden's being encouraged to federalize your National Guard, your state guard. What happens if he tries that? Because he did have a deadline of Friday. He hasn't done anything, as usual, but what if that happens?
If he tries to do that, well, first of all, as you know, this is the number one issue in America. Americans want a secure border. If Joe Biden federalizes our National Guard, that would be the biggest political blunder that he could make. And that's why I think he will not do it. That said, of course, I am prepared in the event that they do make such a blunder to make sure that Texas will be able to continue to secure our border.
A convoy is on its way to the Texas border.
It's being called the Take Our Border Back Convoy, and it will pass through Austin on its way to Eagle Pass on Thursday. Our Ryan Chandler tells us what to expect.
From the East Coast to the Rio Grande, organizers say hundreds, maybe thousands, will join the Take Back Our Border Convoy, coming to Texas this Thursday and Friday.
This is a grassroots operation. This is organic entirely.
Here with more, Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Governor, first I applaud your efforts. You've been on this show many times. You've tried convoys. You have done everything humanly possible. So your state, with its constitutional right, has put up the razor wire. They take you to court on that.
So when you look at Shelby Park, it's still business as usual there. It is lined up with that concertina, that razor wire, which has become the focal point for the nation here, watching this Biden versus Texas fight really play out. But where we are is 20 miles outside of Eagle Pass, where at least 200 people have already crossed today. That's down from around 700 earlier this month. Now, that number started to go down when the razor wire went up in Shelby Park. We reported that. It's a stark contrast from the 4,000 daily crossings that we were seeing and reporting back in December. Now, that razor wire only spans the length of the park. It's about 2 miles. So around 3 or so miles outside of that park is where we're looking at. That's actually kind of quarantined off, if you will. And that leaves plenty of opportunities for people to get over to the U.S. side. All you have to do is basically walk till that razor wire ends. So the few miles of razor wire aren't stopping everybody. Earlier this morning, we talked with Congressman Tony Gonzalez. This is his district, and he thinks that the attention of smugglers and the cartel is causing them to be more conscious about where they bring migrants and when they send them across.
Former President Donald Trump has put himself right in the middle of Governor Greg Abbott's battle with the White House over border security. On Thursday, Trump asked for all willing governors to send their National Guard troops to help send migrants back across the border. It comes as Governor Greg Abbott and the White House continue fighting over razor wire along the border in Eagle Pass. The Supreme Court has ordered the wire's removal, but Texas troops are still putting it up. Governor Abbott is standing firm against the Supreme Court ruling, criticizing President Joe Biden for not enforcing immigration laws.